Alright, so for hand painting like prop swords and cosplay items, I have been using the same as D&D paints. This one's called Citadel. This is the little model paint that I use. It's meant for porous models, and it is very metallic looking, which is nice. You can also use like acrylics. Those go pretty well in combination with like the Citadel paints, because I mean they are very, as far as I know, pretty expensive. I think like a little tub like that is maybe $7 to $10. So yeah, so I'll just do like a little example. I should wet my brush, which I'm actually gonna have to buy some more too. This is almost out as of I painted a whole sword. So this is just gonna be a very quick example, and ideally you want to dry or let dry with before you do this, the ink wash and the dry brushing. But also I probably did it a little bit too wet, too much water, so you get the idea though. Try and do it so you don't see any brush strokes, because that's unnatural. Okay, so let's see if that doesn't dry in a second here. I'll use a little bit more, a little bit thicker. Just realized I probably shouldn't be doing this on this, because I want to try and probably turn this sword into a Demon Slayer sword and the blade is black, so oh well. I will paint over next time, or when I need. But yeah, really beautiful paints. I really am pleased with this brand. I haven't really done much actual like model painting, like D&D minis, because they take a long time. I mean, as you know, I take a long time anyway with a lot of my art, and I have the patience for it. So D&D minis can take me upwards of 10 hours, and it's just more infuriating because they're just so tiny. So I've been trying to buy pre-painted as much as humanly possible. Alright, and hopefully this dries, at least somewhat. Still tacky, almost. It does dry pretty quick, but even if I end up messing it up with some of the ink wash, I'll still show you anyway, because it's really simple. But ink washing is probably one of the best methods of making it look just like really, really good. So actually I have a model here from D&D wall thing. So like this is basically just stone brushed, different colors. Then it was ink washed, I'm guessing. I didn't paint this, but this was pre-painted, but by a professional. They ink washed it, and then they did dry brushing over the top, which is how they get that, like the stone here. For instance, like that stone has the brown. That was the base color. That's what we just did. And the ink washing is all like that dark to give it all the cracks and everything. Then dry brushing is a very, very light bit of paint on the brush, and gives it that like outer layer to make it look like the stone has, you know, been rubbed, worn, and textured. So these are awesome though. These are Dwarven Forge, and also highly expensive, just because they are pre-painted. But I will pay for not having to paint it, because I do so much other things that I just don't have the time to invest in so many different hobbies, which I wish I had more time, but also, yeah, I don't mind. Alright, let's see if we have it dry enough, maybe. Definitely doesn't look like it. Nah, still really tacky. Dang. When I painted my other sword, it actually was drying really quick. if there's something else I can... Oh, you know what? I haven't actually... Now, this is one I did paint. This little guy. I can show you at least what an ink wash looks on, like, on this real quick. I'll do that like that so you can see it. I've already got some ink right here. So what you want to do is add a few drops of water. And then just mix. And this is just standard black ink, but this is going to be one of the most useful ones. You can buy other inks like browns and greens and do all sorts of ink washes, but I like to use black just because it gives it that like natural shading. And I'm not honestly a skilled enough hand painter to do other tones and textures and stuff and still make it look good. So I also like to use black because it makes it really pop out. It will darken whatever you paint though by like 2 tones. So try and paint a little bit brighter or lighter colors, because that will help a lot. Okay, make sure it's in shot here. Which I painted these like stone structures back before I even knew what ink washing was, so this one particular stone wall is going to be like 10 times better than anything else I've painted in this particular set. And then you can normally just add some water, kind of help it wash the ink out, and you can even use a little cloth and dab it a little bit, get the excess, and then you use your brush as like a little sponge, and then you take the excess off because you don't need that much ink. Like, it's all still very wet, and this is 3D printed stuff, so this is very porous. I also, this is before I started doing like a Mod Podge and black paint coating over a lot of 3D printed stuff, which helps give it a good seal, good structure to paint on, and it helps protect the plastic from breaking. So you can see, like right in this little spot right there, I have a little too much ink, so we'll just use the brush and soak it up. And just put it on your towel, just like that. That's like the very basics of ink washing. And then after that, once it's all dry, you can do dry brushing, which I can show on another part. You can like take a little bit of paint, a little bit of silver, a little bit of white, and get it kind of mixed up. This is going to be the kind of like that natural stone color of like what, when you break a stone in half, like what the inside looks like, or if it's worn or rubbed. So it's a good mixture right there of color. Then you're going to wipe it on a piece of cloth, and then just get a little bit, just a little bit on the brush. And then right here, I'll do it on a spot that's dry. And just very lightly dry brush over the top. Now I probably have even too much ink right there, so get a little bit off. There we go. The second brick is actually coming along a lot better than the first. The first one was put on just a little bit too thick. But the second one looks a lot more how it should with dry brushing. And this, I am not an expert by any means, but that is basically your 3 steps. You know, base coating, make sure it's completely dry, because ink is very wet. It will ruin the paint if it's not completely dry. So if, you know, to be safe, we'll leave it for a good solid like 4 or 6 hours. and then ink wash, and do the, you know, make sure it's not overly wet. The ink wash will run, and it will run around like the model to like the other side. So you want to make sure you're constantly like cleaning up the ink. And then once that is done and you let everything dry with the texturing, then you can dry brush over the top. And, you know, I would say start very, very, very little with all of the dry brushing, just because, as you see, like I did even too much with just the very little I had. So, like, you can probably see better if it'll focus. Yeah, there you go. So, decent stonework. I mean, there's a kind of a cheapo 3D print that I bought off of Amazon. It's pretty decent. The left side is definitely better as far as making it look more just like some stonework. Ink wash, still kind of wet, but it's definitely got a little bit more texture to it. I am a better painter now than I was when I first did these. So that's kind of the basics though of modular painting, and it works the same with cosplay. I did that for my sword and it worked really well. So hopefully this helps. Thank you.